It's perfect.
I find Sundays the best day for that.
I love a movie on a Sunday. Do you like getting a bit earlier on a Sunday?
What, with school in the morning? So I was thinking the intros. Should I just say like, we're back? Or is that like,
he's back?
And then we'll play like the Alan Parsons Project in the background.
What's that?
Yeah, the Alan Parsons Project.
Yes, I know the fucking Alan Parsons Project. Jesus Christ.
Whoa. Hello and welcome to the Dirty Bear Podcast. My name's Sean. Joining me today is the one and only Lukas Petridis. Mr. LP, Mr. Binky, my man. How are we?
Yeah, I'm well, Sean. Happy New Year.
Oh,
Do you see it all? Every time it comes to the end of the year, you say, let's do something between Christmas and New Year's. Not once have we ever done something, except the one year we played zombies.
No, we played zombies twice. Remember you came over, so the first year you came over, we played zombies on Christmas, New Year's Eve. The next year you came over and you were like, man, I was just in a car crash, red hot. Right?
No, that was the first year.
That was the first year.
Yeah.
That red hot car crash is pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then like some Samoans like picked up your car with their arms and moved it.
The details that you've recounted are so wrong that I personally cannot correct you because this is probably better for my image.
The following year we went to Marco's. Marco had the party and we rocked up like 2.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was like there from like 2 to 6 and hiked off.
Yeah, that was last New Year's.
Yeah. And then now this most previous one, I was in Drama. Beautiful.
No drama.
Yeah, so I literally couldn't play zombies. I messaged you, I said we can't play zombies this year.
We got to book a time in, I think.
How about
in winter?
After this pod, but after this pod, I'll put in my diary on New Year's Eve, zombies with Luke.
So non-committal, man. You're gonna flake, it's gonna all fall through.
Oh, actually, I might be in Japan.
Yeah, you might, all right. Don't fucking pump me up like this. But winter, I'll be free.
Yeah. What about summer?
Nah, there's stuff to do.
Yeah. Oh, so the basketball stopped for a bit, but it actually hasn't. We stopped for a bit and the basketball's continued. We haven't done a pod since the 28th, which is when you spoke to Kayla George for the second time in your career, in your podcasting career. So this episode is going to be all about everything we've missed over the past 3 weeks. Bloody, what are you doing, mate?
I've missed the dunks. I missed the camaraderie generally. But I think what we've all missed, or what we probably need to talk to the most, and I haven't got the run sheet in front of me, but is it the Jimmy Butler trade, or is it the Nick Richards /
Yeah. That's what we're talking about first. Yeah. Are we calling this the Nick Richards trade or the Josh Okogie trade?
Yeah, no, it's the question.
The Denver 2025 second trade.
It's the question on everyone's lips. But seriously, what would you call it? I think I'd call it the Nick Richards.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, pretty cool. An actual trade happened today, and I can't see your comment that you put in. Oh, yes, I can. Oh, you said, is this the Nick Richards and Josh Okogie trade?
Did you not see that?
No, I just saw it now.
Oh, okay.
Great minds think alike that we were doing that. So the trade was the Phoenix Suns have received Nick Richards, Denver's second round pick this year. Charlotte received Josh Okogie, Denver's second round picks in 26 and 31, and Phoenix's own second in 31, right? There were earlier talks between these two teams about a Nick Richards for Yusuf Nurkic spot, which I think it got reported once the trade had been official that it wasn't going to happen. And yeah, it's like Nick Richards is good. Well, he's on like 3 for 15 mil. Like he's on a pretty bargain deal. I didn't write this down. Josh Okogie's making $7.75 million next season. This year it's like 8.2, right? By that drop off of like the $3 million between the two, the Phoenix Suns saved $22 million in luxury tax savings, obviously like the most expensive team. You messaged the group chat the other day and you were like, isn't it weird that like 3 players on this team combined for like $170 million and we don't really talk about it?
It was thereabouts. They have 3 of the 7 most expensive players in the league.
7. That's crazy.
Yeah, 2 of the 5 most as well. And One of those is Beal.
That's fucked.
One of those is their role player.
It's actually aged so poorly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they've saved a lot of money and they've given up some second round picks. Phoenix, I think, still has one first round spot at their disposal if they want to trade something else here. But now they have Yusuf Nurkic, who. So there was the report. He was with Beal when they got disciplined to come off the bench. Then Yusuf Nurkic stopped playing altogether and it was fully Mason Plumlee and Iso Iguodala. And then Nurkic went a couple of games without playing, and then he came to the media and said, "Oh, I had the flu." And I was like, "But that wasn't reported before. You weren't DNP illness. You were DNP CD. Whatever." And now they've traded for another center. What do you think?
They've traded for another center. You had Google notifications. Google alerts set to Yusuf Nurkic trade, and you were sending at least an article a day for about the last week.
I actually was sending some shit. It's good to hate him. Someone should punch him in the head, just like when he's behind you, just turn around, and just clock him.
Yeah, right. That's an interesting one. But I think it's quite telling that he's still on the team, being linked to so many different trades, and also the fact that the Charlotte Hornets, who they're thin at every spot, but they're pretty thin at center as well, especially. And the fact that they lost the center and didn't want to bring, him in, I think that's quite telling. I think it's quite telling of, what everyone now knows of Yusuf Nurkic.
Yeah. Would you have done the Yusuf Nurkic swap? Let's say you still get 2 second round picks if you're Charlotte, net second round picks. Would you have traded would you have rather had a Kogi or
a Kogi?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Retradability.
Retradability, and if you want to read my other comment that I made, I can't remember what it was exactly, but it's something along the lines of Josh Okogie is the type of player you add to a 2K trade.
Yeah.
At the very end, you've tried everything and nothing's working. You're like, what happens if I chuck Josh Okogie in? That makes the trade go through. So he's that player. I can imagine him playing good basketball at Minnesota. I can imagine him playing good basketball at Phoenix. There's that infamous Devin Booker 59-point game where he ended up closing out the game with his rebounding against the New Orleans Pelicans. There are those games, and those games have gone over the last, let's say, 6 years, 8 maybe. Who knows how long he's been in the league? But I feel like Yusuf Nurkic, I don't have any of those games lately for at least a couple of years. And something Mike Budenholzer, something you need to be able to shoot 3-pointers.
Yeah.
And Nick Richards doesn't fit that. But I think he adds a wrinkle and an element to this team that kind of rounds out that idea that they had when they brought in Tyus Jones, which was let's get those 3 guys, who will remain unnamed, off the ball. Let's get a guy who likes passing on the ball, and let's get a center. And now that allows them to do this, we made the how does this impact winning jokes in the chat today. But I'm much more comfortable as an analyst saying, okay, cool, let's run with that. We die on Booker Hill.
Yeah. That's so true. It's like Mason Plumlee's too old now. He's just soaking up minutes off the bench, and he's playing 0 minutes come the playoffs. But Nick Richards, he's just sort of he's probably the bang on average center. He's averaging 9 points, 7.5 rebounds, a block, 1.1 blocks, while shooting 56% from the floor. So that's just a center. And now you can sort of see what Mike Budenholzer's idea of the team is. If you want to run with a point guard, you can use a point guard. You've got Tyus Jones and Monty Morris. And if you want a traditional center, there's a traditional center. I don't think there's many minutes to go around for Josh Okogie. When we saw Josh Okogie at his best, it was in that playoff run where he's closing out games with his rebound. He's playing he's like a cheap Bruce Brown, where it's you can pass a bit. Okay, if you're wide open, you'll hit your 3. Bruce Brown, better at that, right? And obviously had the role for Denver. But you can imagine if Josh Okogie ends up playing for Denver next season, it'd have to be next season, he would be playing a very similar role, right? Which is sort of why, to answer my question I asked you, I would much rather Josh Okogie, because I don't think you can get a first for him. But the Philadelphia 76ers have KJ Martin on $5 million a year. Would the Sixers say next year or this offseason, KJ Martin plus 3 second-round picks for Josh Okogie? Hell yeah, they would. It's just bring in a guy who, when he's healthy, is going to be your best, maybe wing stopper, right? If you're that sort of team. or at least like your second best wing stopper, which is pretty incredible to have. Like, and a guy who, if he hits your shots, all of a sudden you've got like a very poor man's Damari Carroll, which I'd much rather have that than a KJ Martin, hypothetically, or Yusuf Nurkic, where it's like, what's your role on a playoff team?
Yeah.
Good business by the Charlotte Hornets.
I don't know why this is always stuck out, but we once had a conversation about Mo Wagner when he was at the Washington Wizards, and you were like, I was like, I like this guy, but he's not getting minutes on the Wizards. And then you were like, nah, he's full good, man. And then you said he's the 15th best backup center. I feel like that can be applied to Nick Richards. Oh, yeah. Maybe he's the 30th best center in the league. And when you were throwing out those comps for him before, I was thinking Rich Holmes as well. Remember when Rich Holmes had that 40-game stretch?
Yeah, Rich Holmes' short arms though. Like Nick Richards has always got the body to be like the center. Like it's sort of like, is this the best center they've had since John Dre Ayton?
Phoenix?
Yeah.
Oh, goddamn, I was thinking DeAndre Jordan. What has the other one been? Nurkic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mason Plumlee and...
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. I think both teams did well. Phoenix has 2 moves to make, right? One of them's maybe a Beal trade. We'll talk about that later. And the other one's like, just get someone good for your second round picks. And they did.
Yes.
Josh Okogi's only played 25 games this season, averaging 6 points. Not the end of the world for them. When he's not healthy, he's not adding anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think also the other thing I like about Nick Richards is that, I don't know, he kind of likes being the center.
Yeah.
He likes finishing around the rings. He likes challenging players at the rim. He loves, he's going to dunk, best center since before DeAndre Ayton that the Suns have had that likes to dunk.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just doesn't, he finishes everything. I feel like, everyone's spoken at length about how much attention Booker and KD receive, and that's just going to create easier opportunities for him. And he's kind of like exactly the guy you want in those easy opportunities. He's not gonna leave anything out there.
A trade that did happen. I think this was New Year's Day or New Year's Eve. D'Angelo Russell was traded. The LA Lakers traded D'Angelo Russell, Maxwell Lewis, their own second round picks in 27, 30, and 31, and they received Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. There's been 2 weeks since this trade happened. What are your thoughts? Where do you want to start? Again, is this the DFS trade or is this the D'Angelo trade?
Dorian has played 6 games. He's shooting 41% from 3. He hasn't started yet. That's probably he's going to get the blame eventually.
Apparently, this was reported that Hachimura is going to be the next person to blame.
Okay. Yeah.
And then after Hachi, it's going to be either whoever they trade for him or JJ Redick.
LeBron's co-host. I watched a Lakers game, I think with him, but he wasn't on the court. And it was just like, this team, AD's not the best player, going to be the best player on a contender. He's just proven that now. He's 31 or 2, so that ship sailed. LeBron needs to be the best player on the team. You can't ask that of him anymore. The rest of the players are on par or a little worse than the rest of the team, rest of the league's rest of the players. So how far is that team going to go? As far as a guy that doesn't really care too much about winning and a 40-year-old can take them. And I don't really know what this is the step towards. I feel like the Lakers are 1 or 2 steps away from anything. So they're not rebuilding, they're not contending. They got the one of the top 5 oldest lists in the league, rosters in the league. And I just don't get it. This is so weird. Like, this is LeBron's career is kind of just petering out. There's not really any meaningful basketball being played.
You're more just looking at the all-time stats where it's like, can he get minutes or can he get like games? Or, you're just looking at these accolades where they stop the game halfway through and give him the game ball, and then it's like that's what you're looking for. Yeah,
very, very strange. And then we'll talk about Dylan more, but I think the one thing I've noticed, first of all, is that he's like, have you seen him with the Nets?
No. The one Nets game I watched, there was no dealer.
Right. He looks like he's been on a team that's competing more. Like, I don't know how else to describe it, but the way he moves around the court is like, you got a purpose. And the rest of the Nets do not have that purpose. But what are your what's the 2025 fucking
Lakers.
what do you think about all this?
Yeah, I think you're right. The Lakers are a bit delusional. Were they sitting around the front office like, man, if we just get DFS, we're fucking right up there with like the Cavs and the Celtics, right? But I think you have to look at the Lakers front office as they're like, well, what are we doing? Because Lucas said that we're not contending or we're not tanking. And they're just like, fuck, we have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. If LeBron's still a number one option, if AD is still an All-NBA second option, we're contenders. Let's do what we can to maximize that. And I think just removing, like, let's say no DFS has been brought in, just removing D'Lo has actually done wonders for the team, because now Austin Reeves, who can't really defend twos or threes, is now defending ones. Austin Reeves, with the ball in his hands more on offense. Since the trade, he's averaging 37 minutes, averaging 18, 4, and 7 on 37, 36, 83. Horrible shooting numbers, but
7 assists.
7 assists. So he's now the secondary ball handler behind LeBron James. Max Christie, one of the guys who doesn't get talked about much that I've listened to about this trade, is that he's now elevated to the starting 2 role. He can defend twos, still slider frame, still a little bit small, can't really defend threes. That's why DFS is there. We'll get to that. But Max Christie, since the trade, averaging 33 minutes a game, 16, 4, and 2 on 56, 45, 92. Very small sample size. This is, single-digit games. But, like, the theory of just getting rid of D'Lo has worked well for the rest of their roster. And then you say, okay, well, who'd they bring in? Wow, they actually got this guy who his best defensive position is the 4. But he's like, if we're talking about Josh Okogie, or maybe someone will trade for Josh Okogie if he can defend and hit threes. Well, DFS can defend and hit threes. He can't defend Ja Morant, but he'll do a good job at defending Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bain, right? And you trust him to do that. Put that next to AD and LeBron. Again, if you're the Lakers and you've talked yourself into this is who we are, this is how we're going to win, that's actually quite a good trade. And the theory's there. It's just we don't believe that LeBron and AD are a 1-2 that takes you to the title.
Yeah. Also, as you're saying, the caliber of defender DFS is, D'Lo can't defend any three.
Yeah. Or one, he can't defend one.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy that there's a 1-2 punch that won a championship can't win a championship?
Yeah, won a championship 5 years ago. It's just like the Warriors. We're not going to talk about the Warriors in this pod, and I have to mention them. It's actually contractually obliged, but yeah, it's just a bit sad.
Yeah.
Warriors are under 500 before our massive win against Minnesota today, where Steph Curry, for the go-ahead basket with seconds remaining, took a 3, turned around and looked at a fan, and then watched the 3 go in to win the game. Pretty fucking cool. Just the no aura Minnesota fucking T-balls at the moment. But the theory's good for the Lakers.
Yeah, I can't believe we didn't talk about the Warriors as well, what you said. The theory is good,
Yeah.
yes.
Do you want to talk to one thing before we talk about the Nets, because I don't think there's much to say. Weird stuff with Memphis here, where Memphis, it was reported that they were going to move maybe equal assets to get Dorian Finney-Smith. And Memphis were like, hey, this is our guy. This is going to be our move for the rest of the season. We're going to run with this team. And then I think reading between the lines, the Grizzlies tweeted it saying, hey, the Nets spoke to a reporter and said, hey, we've got this trade lined up with the Grizz, pretty much saying, can anyone beat this? The Lakers came in with 3 second-round picks. Nets gave up 1, so like two in the aggregate. They must have liked these picks better and said, all right, we'll just take DeAndre Russell, hope to retrade him. I'm sure their retradable salary is better than Luke Kennard, right? Like it's probably a little bit easier to trade a backup point guard than it is Luke Kennard, who's like a backup wing that, they go for nothing in the off season. And so like the Grizzlies are apparently really upset with the way the Nets handled these trade discussions, which is just like, let's just put a pin in it for the future. A little bit of a sour relationship. The last time these two teams tried to complete a trade was the Marshawn Dillon Brooks stuff up, I believe.
The Nets and the Grizz.
Yeah, I think
were the Suns involved in that?
Maybe, but it was like they said, "Oh, we'll put Brooks in the trade." And, Dillon Brooks, a young up and coming 3-and-D wing. Yeah, we want him. Got reported, and then the reporter was like, "Oh, correction, the trade's not going to go ahead." They had just referred to the name Brooks and just assumed it was Marshawn, not Dillon.
Yeah.
Fucking interesting. Whole different front office, but interesting.
Yeah. What do you reckon the best D'Lo? I guess we don't really know.
Landing spot.
No. Just he was obviously going to get traded for like 2 years now. What do you reckon the best trade they got offered for him was?
Yeah, right.
Were they one recorded even?
Yeah, there were the last trade deadline. The New York Knicks were interested in him after they made a trade. Who the Knicks trade at the trade deadline last year?
Anunoby?
Yeah, to the Raptors because they gave up Emmanuel quickly. They needed a backup point guard. And in the 2 weeks before the deadline, because Anunoby was quite early, I think it might have even been like before Christmas. In the month before the trade deadline or 2 months before the trade deadline, who's their backup point guard? Miles Bridges or Miles McBride. Yeah, he just blossomed and was just like, oh, I'm actually like really good at playing basketball and I can be a backup point guard. So I think there was an offer that was like Miles McBride or maybe Mitchell Robinson for D'Lo.
No shit. Wait, or IQ. Or was IQ gone?
IQ was gone. So it was like to bring in IQ. To bring in to replace IQ as a backup point guard. So I think that was the best deal, but it wasn't LA's fault.
Better.
Oh, you would rather...
DFS and McBride.
Oh, true. I'm looking at it from the other team.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it from the team getting D'Lo, yeah. Do you want to talk about the team who got D'Lo, the Nets?
Yeah. Well, you can touch on them. I think they are... I think we're looking at like a full-blown tank. Like, I feel like the Wizards... No, like they're still on the tank. The Wizards are on the rebuild.
Right.
The Nets are on the tank still.
Yeah.
There's just like, I think, they're just just seeing like, it legit looks like D'Lo is playing a different game to the rest of the team.
Yeah. It's quite depressing. Like Trevelyan Queen was playing like 35 minutes the other day.
Yeah.
I still thought he was on the Magic, which is just a crazy sentence to say. I still thought Trevelyan Queen was on the Magic. And they traded, obviously, Dennis Schroeder to the Warriors, which actually happened while we haven't been potting as well.
Oh, true.
Yeah, and he's just shut the bed. Which
Oh, great shit.
nice, yeah.
Damn. You got another trade on there?
Yeah, but let's just take a break for a second.
Okay.
You want to talk WNBA? Maybe some WNBL? Australian Opals chat? Heck, even dabble in some EuroLeague? Find the W Basketball Show on the Deep 2 Podcast Network.
The NBA moves so quickly these days, it's hard to keep up. Shams and Woj are breaking stories left and right, but the Quick Time Out is right there with them to keep you informed on the latest NBA news. Stop in and let us break it down as it happens. Find the Quick Time Out on the Deep 2 Podcast Network.
Welcome back. What else has happened since we've been away? Well, Lucas, good question. Do you start with De'Aaron Fox or Jimmy Butler?
I thought we were going to talk about... I thought that was a lead into the Australian Open.
I don't really want to talk about the Open, but you do, so go ahead.
I actually don't. I was just thought it was going to be like, we have fodder sometimes. Sometimes we have fodder. But we can just talk...
Fodder is the Gaelic word for an accent above an E or an A.
Fodder. Because I was going to say fodder, I hardly know it.
Okay.
Fodder. I guess you could say I hardly know it.
Well, it's an accent thing.
Yeah.
It's an accent thing. Fodder.
Oh, not bad at all.
Do you want to talk about De'Aaron Fox? There's a fodder over the E. The Gaelic De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron.
I think you do.
Yeah, I think De'Aaron Fox is... I'm a little bit pissed off with the Jimmy Butler stuff, so we'll let the anger out right before we go and eat dinner. But De'Aaron Fox, he hired Rich Paul as his agent, 12 months ago, and then on the 21st of December 2024, last year, Rich Paul met with the Sacramento Kings to talk about De'Aaron Fox's future. As soon as that meeting happened, the Rockets and the Spurs came to the top of the top of the news,
Google
the Google alerts, as teams that were like, oh, if he becomes available, I'd love to trade for him. Some subsequent reports happened after they fired Mike Brown, saying, hey, De'Aaron Fox had a bit of a say in firing Mike Brown. He wasn't very happy with him for whatever reason. I don't think it was Mike Brown's fault. Sacramento has then gone on to hire interim coach Doug Christie. I think he was an assistant before he was the interim head coach.
And a player before that.
And an analyst. They actually have won a few games since then. Won a few games without De'Aaron Fox. Their clutch net rating is fine, and they've won a lot of really close games. So it's like, oh look, we've got this like post firing our coach surge, like the dead cat bounce. I think they're still definitely like they're out of the playoffs looking in at the moment. God, Jamie, I wish you could pull that up.
Yeah, they are.
And also out of the playoffs, like the Golden State Warriors and Sacramento and the San Antonio Spurs. So it's like you're not going to get in. Like this, this is a bad team. But De'Aaron Fox, his ceiling is an All NBA guard, and if he becomes an All NBA guard, he's eligible for the Supermax, which is something that I think he wants to get. He's hired Rich Paul. You usually do that when you want to get out of a situation, and it's a little bit dire / depressing in Sacramento at the moment. But where do you want to go with this? Do you want to talk about maybe how it went wrong in Sacramento, or just the future, or like would you trade him, or what's the play?
Yeah, I was just looking up when Mike Brown was fired to get the exact date. It was about a week after Rich Paul met with the Sacramento Kings. Is there an ecosystem in the NBA where De'Aaron Fox does become an All-NBA player?
I think if he's the second option on like the 1 seed, like look at the Cavs right now, right? Like is De'Aaron Fox better or worse than Donovan Mitchell and or Darius Garland?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say he's better.
He's better. Garland. He's better than Garland. Garland might get in on third All-NBA.
Whoa, really bad.
But you know, that's the line, right? So Donovan Mitchell, we're assuming he gets in, even though he's having a worse year, because they're just so undeniably good, right? And so it's, we're not going to knock him because they're winning by the third quarter, like the old Steph Curry argument, where it's like, well, he doesn't play fourth quarters, and he plays 30 minutes, and he's counting such a little bit lower. It's like, yeah, because they won in the third quarter. If De'Aaron Fox can get to, say, the San Antonio Spurs, where he's the second fiddle next to Victor Wembanyama, and then they start winning games in the high 60s, like, you really have to start thinking, like, and De'Aaron Fox's game probably gets better playing Wemby,
definitely.
Right? Then I think he's in the discussion, but like just everything equal, like let's say it's just a pure basketball simulation, I don't think he's an All-NBA guard.
Yeah.
I think he's a high-end All-Star, but even to become an All-Star, it's hard to do. Like,
yeah. So do you reckon he wants out rather than he wants the big bag? Because
I think they're tired, because I think he gets the big bag by being in a different situation.
Right. Okay.
I think he's reached the apex of what he can do in Sacramento, especially because you've got a guy at center who is second in the league in triple doubles, but it's like he's got a very high ceiling. He's got a very hard ceiling because we don't know what he can do in the playoffs. Like, yes,
we do.
Yeah, it's bad.
Really bad.
It's not good. It's not good on offense as well, right? It's like the problem is about his defense. It's not good on offense. So he's looking at that going, okay, well, if we're not going to be that like regular season darling with Mike Brown just like powering us to the third seed every year, because this is the second year in a row now where it's like it's clear that you are not going to be the best offense in the NBA. You're not gonna like Denver could make the playoffs as the 6th seed this year and make the finals, and no one would question it because they've just got that talent, right? The Sacramento Kings, even if they happen to get into the play, and even if they happen to make the playoffs after that, they're not going to make any noise whatsoever. So I think De'Aaron Fox knows that and goes, well, I need to get somewhere where my talents are being showcased to a level where I can be in the discussion for a high All-Star, All-NBA, and then he gets the bag. So to answer your question, I think they're tired.
So do you reckon? So this is just you reckon they should have just traded the Kings?
No. I think De'Aaron Fox wants them to trade him. I think Kings want to keep him.
Yeah, I understand, but this is also what you're keeping him with. He's going to keep bringing this to the Sacramento Kings as long as you have him. Yeah, the roster.
Yeah.
I think the firing Mike Brown is like that's just such a slippery slope. Like, it's just what's the avenue out, the positive avenue out. I don't know. Maybe I'm not creative enough to think about it. Maybe Vivek Ranadive knows more than I do.
I actually doubt it, but keep going.
But that seems to be a bad decision. That seems to be a very what's like a wet Band-Aid, like not even a Band-Aid, like a wet tissue approach to trying to cover up the wound.
Yeah.
And I feel like you could sell De'Aaron Fox for a very good price right now. And if this is the guy that wants to stay under all of his terms and conditions, is that worth it? No. I think no. But then I also, like, from the other side, we always come to that argument of like, oh, there's only X amount of these guys in the league. And it's like, if you get rid of De'Aaron Fox, there's no De'Aaron Fox equivalent coming back the other way. And who knows how many years it's going to be until they have that De'Aaron Fox equivalent.
Yeah.
So I can see it from that perspective, but I just think the Kings' kumbaya run of a year and a half ago in the playoffs, that is so... That's in the time capsule now. Like, that's not this team anymore.
Yeah, do they even light the beam anymore? Like, remember the beam? Yeah. I haven't seen a single video of the beam being lit.
Yeah.
And DeMar DeRozan plays there, and it's like getting in the way of Keegan Murray, and it's like the only thing that could potentially push their ceiling up is that if Keegan Murray has like a massive jump, like, but what's Keegan Murray's league? Like becoming Trey Murphy, you know what I mean? Like,
you know what they need? They need to trade away D'Lo. They need that sort of effect to happen on their team. Internal, what's it called? Promotion.
Yeah. I think you're right where it's like, if you trade De'Aaron Fox, you're probably not going to get another De'Aaron Fox for 5 to 10 years, right?
Yeah.
But the thing with Monty McNair having the goal to just make the playoffs at all costs, because like we need to break this streak, we can't be this embarrassing team, and now that embarrassing team that hasn't made the playoffs for the longest time ever is the Charlotte Hornets. Has anyone mentioned that at all in the last 2 years?
Yeah.
It's so stupid where it's like, if you start building a team and trying to like, just build the best team you possibly can, not just a good enough team to break a streak, people will be like, look, it sucks you haven't made the playoffs for 16 years, but at least you're building something.
Yeah.
But for now, it's like, oh, well, you traded a first-round pick for Kevin Huerter. And I was like, oh, okay, sick. Like, I hope you make the playoffs. And I was like, you did. That's great. But yeah, I think you do just need to trade him, because next year he can opt out in the 2026 offseason. And then so next year could theoretically be his last year under contract, and he could just opt out. He's not a restricted free agent anymore, and he could just sign with another team. A team who, as it currently stands, can open up max cap space in the 2026 offseason is the San Antonio Spurs.
Funny that.
So
you got bloody Justin Champagne clothing.
I mean, like the trade would be Zach Collins, Keldon Johnson, Trey Jones, right? And like however many picks you want. Like maybe that's a Chicago pick, maybe San Antonio's own. If I were the Sacramento Kings, I would say give me anything that isn't a Spurs pick. Like if you have any assets, because the Spurs are going to get Wembanyama and then they're going to get fucking De'Aaron Fox. Like give me the things not tied to that team. But then the other trade with the Houston Rockets would be like Cam Whitmore, Fred VanVleet has to be in there for salary matching purposes. It's like you can't trade Jalen Green. Obviously, Şengün's off the table. I don't think you can get Amen Thompson. I think he's been invaluable to what they do. But like, who's another? I must be missing a prospect. Reed Shepherd. Reed Shepherd. Yeah, it's like,
how old's Tari Eason?
Yeah, maybe. He's like 22, 23. Also, I think a little bit, it's weird to say, maybe a bit integral to what they do as that like 3-4 switch.
Christians.
Yeah.
Nick Richards wing.
Yeah. But it's like, okay, next year, team's going to look at you and go, well, he can just leave in an off season, right? So it's like, okay, well, that brings it down that brings the value down quite a bit. If you trade for him now, you get half a season plus a full season. Plus, obviously, if he likes what you're doing, he can opt out and extend, which he could definitely do in 1 year. But trading for him on the off season or even at next year's trade deadline would be half a season with De'Aaron Fox. Because he's getting paid so much, it's a lot of pieces to go towards one piece. I think you can get the most from him right now, and they are just trending so far downwards.
Yeah.
Where it's like, fuck, it's not worth it. It's not worth trying to make the play in this year. Get Fred VanVleet and Reed Shepherd and go, cool, we got the third pick last year, right?
Yeah.
In Reed Shepherd, and now our own pick's going to be bad. Like, that's the best rebuild. Look at the Wizards right now. Gary, now you talk about it.
They've got a direction. This current Wizards, that's the Kings. This current Wizards team, I'm so much happier to follow than the Wizards team that wore grey singlets and made the first round and lost to the Philadelphia 76ers 4-1 in one of those short seasons.
Noble loss.
Yeah, truly. But at the time, we were in the playoffs, and I was like, what are we doing here? What is this? Who are we kidding? What are we going? What direction are we going to? There's no way our trending arrow is green and going like this fidgety but upwards. And now we have a base, and there's like it's a multiple year plan, but like we've got it, and however long it takes is however long it takes. I think we should talk about the Jimmy Butler stuff as well. I know that you said you were angry about it.
Can we wrap up the De'Aaron Fox?
No, I think they'll link to each other quite well. But what would you like to wrap the De'Aaron Fox?
Final thing, Sacramento owes their first round pick this year to the Hawks in the Kevin Huerter trade. It's protected 1-12 this year, and then next year it's protected 1-10, and that turns into seconds. So if they trade De'Aaron Fox tomorrow, they're going to be a worse basketball team. You're probably going to be one of the 12 worst teams, which means you've got higher odds of keeping your pick this year, especially because the Spurs, the Trailblazers, funnily enough, and the Warriors are all trying, and they're on the outside looking in, playing, right? So it's like, as those teams that are outside keep trying, your Kings are just going to keep falling. Now's the time to do it. Keep your fucking pick this year.
Yeah. Yeah, the league is very strong. Now's the time to zag and rebuild.
Yeah.
The rebuild's coming.
Yeah.
It's staring at you.
Do it now. Get Reed Shepherd and then get the next pick. Anyway, Jimmy Butler.
So Jimmy Butler, you said you're a bit fed up with all of this. Again, we don't have to recount the back and forths.
No, I will name it every news piece. Yeah.
I can't believe how many times I've woken up to updating the Jimmy Butler trade requests, and then it's a headline that I guess is unique, but it's like adjacent to something that I've already heard. It's like, now he's directly told Pat Riley. It's like, we know he wants to shake the clicks.
Yeah, Pat Riley blinks at dinner. Ooh, yeah. It's getting really gossipy. We will talk about it later, but what's your point?
So the point is that, we've got this bloody, let's cycle on the myth of player empowerment. Pat Riley has just proven you don't give power, you don't have to seize control to the player. The Kings have fucked themselves here. They completely ruined this. The shit teams have player empowerment. The poorly run organizations have player empowerment. The Miami Heat are about to lose their star that they have $50 million tied to, and has been their leader and led them to 2 NBA finals. And this awful, just like nasty, devolution of this relationship that's happening in front of everyone's eyes is still going to be worse for Jimmy. Like, he's not getting traded. There's no chance he's getting traded. There's no way. There's actually no way. If after all this, fucking shout out to Karl Anthony Towns, after all that, he hasn't gotten traded, nothing is going to get him traded.
Yeah.
Pat Riley's like, fuck you. This is our team. This is my team. This is the way I'm running it. Then we're not going to get anything good for you because you're not going to sign on with any of the teams we're going to send you to. So we're going to just lose. We're going to just let you walk for nothing, and we're going to keep running things the way we run things. And next year we're going to have, Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. That's a pretty good start to a roster. And who knows how much money we'll be able to make available to bring in, solid players and build towards something else. But yeah, I think he's kind of shown that in the conversation, the teams do still have the power. They're just afraid to use it, And the Sacramento Kings played their hand, and they showed. Well, I guess they've been poorly run, but they just showed that. Like, I feel like there's a pretty good example of. They should it was player empowerment that ended up winning, and De'Aaron Fox kind of getting what he wants. But that wasn't that's a result of the Kings just being shit at running their organization. So I thought that was it was pretty interesting. It was just like, the team can just keep control of the situation.
I agree with everything you're saying, but I think it's just a little bit different because Jimmy Butler is like 34 years old and he's getting paid $48 million, right? It's a little bit unique in that, like, if you want to trade for him now, especially in this environment where teams above the second apron can't aggregate salaries. Like, if the Phoenix Suns want to trade for Jimmy Butler, it has to be Bradley Beal, right? Before this new CBA, they could have cobbled together every single player not named one of their big three and make the $48 million trade for him and then get it done. Like, it would be the Josh Okogie and Yusuf Nurkic, and do they have anyone else? Well, maybe not, but it's like now it's I think it's a bit unprecedented. So it's I think you're right. Yeah, player empowerment, etc. But I think it is a bit unprecedented that we have to, the trade to the Warriors has to be more than his salary because the Warriors are above the first apron, right? It has to be that. Whereas in the past, it was a lot easier to trade for Jimmy Butler, and trading for Jimmy Butler could just be like Wiggins, Gary Payton, and Looney. But now it's like, oh, we have to send out more than what his salary is, and he's 34. Where it's like I don't think, like I think the Warriors would love to have Jimmy Butler on their team. I don't think they want to give up 4 players to get him.
Yeah, that's fair. But I think we're also kind of both agreeing that the Kings should have just traded De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, before it got out, before you fired your coach. Like imagine you had Mike Brown for the rebuild. Yeah, but Jimmy Butler, like, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I just think that he burns a season with the Heat. The Heat are like, okay, cool. He sent us to 2 finals. He wants to get paid. We understand that. If he derails a half of our season, then a team with Jimmy Butler that doesn't have Jimmy Butler bought in isn't going to go far. And this is the price we have to pay for not paying the price.
Yeah, that's true. And also, like, I think they're completely just in not paying the price. Like, imagine if you sign him to like a really big extension, he's going to be getting paid till at least 38, right? Now, if Jimmy Butler walks and you talk about their free agency aspirations, the class of 25 isn't actually that good. But if they can open up more space for the class of 26, headlined by De'Aaron Fox, they can start to get in the conversation here. It's really like the free agency battle, especially for Miami, who always gets free agents, or at least always gets in the room. Like Miami are just much better saying, I would rather keep the fucking paper dry for this massive free agency class.
Yeah. So why not trade him then?
Because Miami have said, like, we're happy to trade him. We just don't want to take any long-term salary back. So if you take the Warriors trade, it's like, cool, you want to pay Andrew Wiggins for the next 3 years. That might stop you from getting De'Aaron Fox. Jonathan Kuminga is going to want an extension. That's going to stop you from getting De'Aaron Fox. Bradley Beal's got 2 more years after this. That's going to stop you. And when I say De'Aaron Fox, I mean just like a De'Aaron Fox like free agent. Yeah. So Bradley Beal getting paid too much. Also, Bradley Beal not wanting to waive his trade, his no trade also plays into that. But they want, in a perfect world, they're more than happy to trade Jimmy Butler for 5 different players as long as they all expire in the next year or 2 years, right? That does not exist. There is no team out there with ready to take on Jimmy Butler with fucking 5 contracts or a matching salary is going to expire in the next 2 years.
True.
Like the only team is the Brooklyn Nets, and even the Brooklyn Nets are saying we're not going to trade for anyone who's getting paid further than this year.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. People are just keeping the paper dry because it's just too hard to be capped out.
So then what happens? He just signs as a free agent somewhere at the end of the year?
No, I think what he does is he finishes this year, it's super ugly, and then he picks up his player option and he just says, give me $52 million. And then he just continues to be an asshole. Like, and he'll add $52 million to his bank account. Yeah. Whereas let's say he signed an extension with Miami and it's like 3 for 100, right? And it's like, okay, well, you could have made $100 million. Like, this is the sort of trend we're seeing where it's like guys like Chris Middleton will decline their exorbitant player option and sign an extension for less money but for longer. It's like, hey, I'm in my mid-30s. Like, this is, I'm not going to make that money. Jimmy Butler, who has only ever backed himself and it's obviously been replicated in the way that he plays, Jimmy Butler is going to go out and say, cool, I'm going to pick up my player options for $52 million. And then when I become a free agent afterwards, Charlotte Hornets will give me 30 across 3. And that would just be better than just having, whatever the Miami Heat might have offered him.
Yeah.
Also, for what it's worth, Bernie Lee, his agent, said that they never offered him a contract extension whatsoever.
Okay.
So they didn't even offer him anything.
Yeah. If I was the Lakers, I'd trade AD for him. 100%.
Well, they could have had Nick Richards as well. They could have had their Nick Richards and Aiders.
Wow. That would be huge.
I'm so disgusted by the Lakers throwing their hat in the ring for every backup center. Like, they want Jonas Valanciunas.
Don't you dare.
The Wizards said we're not trading Jonas Valanciunas for seconds.
Fuck off, bro.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. Dumb fuck Kings, don't fire Mike Brown. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So good. I can't remember which one. I can never tell the difference between Michael Winger and Chad Dawkins. Will Dawkins,
yeah. He runs a YouTube channel. Free Dawkins.
But every time I see the bloke with the big nose.
I'm just trying to... I had a dream that Brian Keefe got fired.
Oh my god, no.
But yeah, it's a would
I reckon it's Will Dawkins. You just did that one.
Jesus Christ.
Just go Will Dawkins. You don't have to even. You can keep the Wizards Will Dawkins.
Yeah.
Every time I see his face, I'm happy.
He does have a big nose. Where was he before this?
OKC, yeah. They actually had a pretty good rebuild. But Alex Sarr won Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month, and the photo was him. I can't remember who. There was someone on his left and then someone on his right. Will Dawkins was one of them.
Next time you see Alessio, look at the back of his head. Because, he's got the opposite hair at the back of his head, and he wears a hat a lot. He's fully got a wave. Like, he's fully, it's like he, like, sleeps in a do-rag. LS is, like, it's great.
Will Dawkins has an awesome wave.
Yeah, Will Dawkins, good guy.
I'm getting seasick.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good job. Just going from, like, bad team to bad team and recruiting. Tim Connolly, though, did that. No championship.
God. Tried to call him the other day.
No ring. No, he bought me a beer, though, so he's all right in my books.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you think is going to happen to Jimmy Butler? How's this going to get resolved?
No, I through that whole chat until he said he picks up the option, I completely forgot he had the option.
Fucked up. Imagine if someone said, hey, you can be unhappy for 18 months, but we'll give you like close to $70 million. Would you do it?
Yeah. What do you mean unhappy?
What if you could be happier and make $30 million?
It's not even this. I would take the 72. It's not even this.
That's half of this year plus next year.
But it's not even you'll be unhappy. It's we'll give you $70 million and you can make whatever headline you want. Because now they've played that, like, yeah, okay, you can be unhappy for 2 weeks or a month or something. But there's no way Jimmy's like going to stay mad at you. Fuck, this is now.
Yeah.
And they've been dealt.
So the game before he got suspended for conduct detrimental to the team, it was against the New Orleans Pelicans. And apparently it just wasn't running on defense at all. It was just walking around and taking like one-legged three-pointers. He also said he had an illness and couldn't play. And then like someone saw him at a restaurant and he was like at the restaurant like drinking drinks and stuff. It was like having a nice time and looked very healthy according to Tim Hardaway Sr. These are all the reports I've just been fucking seeing. And then there was another one where we went to because you remember, he loves coffee. He's like Boss Face Coffee Big Face Coffee. We went to one of his coffee chains because he's actually got coffee stores and they're like obviously managed by other people. And he like went up and he's like, oh, can I get a coffee? And I said, here's your coffee. And then he goes, man, that's great. Like, good job. And then he's like, are you happy at your job? He's like, yeah, I'm happy. And he like yelled and he's like, someone was recording it. This is how you like treat your workers. Like, this is what like a good boss does. It's just very weird, man. But I guess like, yeah, he's going to pick up his option. But I cannot think of a trade that works. Like,
yeah. I want to actually entertain the idea of AD for Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, you won't say it, I won't.
So, AD, the Lakers, I feel like as soon as LeBron and AD go, Ron Pelinka's gone. I think that they've kind of hitched their wagon to him, but he has been just such a bad roster manager. You lose the good parts of AD, but you also lose the bad parts of AD. Jimmy Butler makes up for the bad parts of AD, as in he wants to be the best player on the team. He wants to lead the team. He's proven that he can bring bad players to the finals. He's much older now, but you have a go with Jimmy Butler and LeBron James. Then Jimmy Butler retires before AD will retire. LeBron's going to retire, before either of them. Those two retire, and you're in a rebuild. You're just you're actually in.
No, I don't think they own their picks until like 30.
It's only 5 years away.
Yeah, you're fully in a rebuild. It's just hard to.
In a rebuild. Yeah. Like, what's AD going to do after LeBron retires? You know what AD's going to do? He's going to fucking keep you at 34 and 48. I was there as a Wizards fan. I was there in the playoffs. Unhappy that I was in the playoffs.
No, it makes a lot of sense. So I've just gone on to Fanspo to look at some silly trades because I'm just like, what's just a trade that just works, right? I want to see someone make a trade for Detroit just to see like, okay, this is how the money would work. So it's got trending players that are getting thrown in a trade. Can you name me the top 10? I've got up to 14 here. Can you name me the top 10 players being traded right now on Fanspo.
The lottery. Jimmy.
Jimmy's number 1.
Useless.
Not there.
Not there. Okay. I didn't think he was going to be high, but I thought I was going to just get him in early. Is there a Philadelphia 76er?
No.
What?
No. But think about the kind of guys on this.
On Fanspo.
On Fanspo. And then I'll read out some trades afterwards.
Trey Young.
No, but I've got a Trae Young trade for you.
All right. Is LeBron on there?
No.
Is D'Lo still on there?
No.
Is he still trending from before?
No. Josh Okogie is there.
Josh Okogie is okay. Cool. Can you give me a team? Give me the top 5 teams.
All right. Heat, Pistons, Lakers, Washington, Kings. It's so stupid.
Oh, De'Aaron.
No, it's Kevin Huerter's 5th.
What the fuck? Is it JV?
Yeah, JV's 4th.
Okay, Lakers.
Lakers is...
It's okay, it's not one of the big 2, is it?
No.
Okay. Rui.
Rui's 6th.
Okay. It's not Austin, is it?
No,
Okay, Vando?
Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent is 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
Second most trending player being traded.
What was the team?
Detroit.
Okay.
It's Tim Hardaway. It's like, what the fuck are we doing here, man? Like,
I was never going to get this.
Cam Johnson's 7th, someone who's going to be traded. Zach LaVine's 10th, someone who's likely going to be traded. And so after 7th, you've got number 8, Jalen Hood-Schifino.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Number 9, Simone Fontecchio.
So
Number 17, Christian Wood. You know, he still plays basketball.
So there's a lot of
Lakers fans.
well, also Detroit fans chucking Tim Hardaway and Simone Fontecchio to find a bigger salary.
All right, so we've just got from user BKNETS fan, Brooklyn Nets fan.
Oh,
Suns go all out. That's just Jimmy Butler. So anyway.
who naming this?
All right, this one by Ricochet for Rookie of the Year. It's the number 4 Rookie of the Year. Title: Jimmy moves to the strippers. It's just Jimmy to Houston. The title is a Harden joke. Don't take it personally. Next one, all caps. Stuff happens. I might have been drunk when this concept was made, but it kind of works, NGL. We've got Michael Porter Jr. to the Suns, Devin Booker to the Hawks, Zeke Naji plus 4 other players to the Magic, Trae Young to the Heat, and Jimmy Butler to the Denver Nuggets. I'm not even...
Who's the Suns again?
I don't know. Who cares, man? This one just by Dan Trades. Stupid. It's just called Crazy. It's not even worth it. Got a lot of emojis. Yeah.
Anything else on there?
It's just silly.
It is just silly.
Spurs get Wemby an all-star. Hold the fort. It's Jimmy Butler.
Who do they have to trade? Chris Paul?
Malachi Branham, Keldon Johnson, maybe one other. I just don't want to click on it.
Why?
Yeah. So that's the trade market.
Yeah.
Should we wrap up?
Yeah, let's wrap up. I feel like this is what you do right before you finish up.
Yeah, you just scroll win. 5-team Heat rebuild trade by the Great One. Bam Adebayo to the Warriors. Yeah, now we'll wrap there. I think that's the natural conclusion for the pod. Thanks for coming back on. Welcome to the 2025 edition of the Deep 2 NBA podcast. You know, Dante and I started this pod in 2019.
Wow.
It's now our 6th year of existence. We're actually eligible for long service leave next year.
Better start raking it in. All right.
Peace.
See ya.